If you slept 8 hours last night, but you're still staring at the same sentence 3 times, just trying to understand it, listen closely. You aren't actually tired. Your brain is experiencing something completely different, and today we're uncovering exactly what it is. It's called brain fog, and it is far more interesting and widespread than you think. Millions of people experience it every single day, yet most of them have no idea why. They blame themselves, they drink another coffee, and they try to push harder. But here's what most people don't realize: pushing harder doesn't fix this. Because what you're experiencing has a name, a set of real causes, and most importantly, real solutions. Scientists have spent years studying it, and what they've found changes everything about how we think about mental performance. Let's clear up a common misconception right away. Brain fog is not a disease. It is not a diagnosis your doctor will write on a form. It is a symptom, a signal that something else is happening underneath. Think of it like a check engine light. The light itself isn't the problem. It's pointing to something that needs attention. What brain fog actually describes is a cluster of cognitive symptoms: difficulty concentrating, trouble retaining information, slow thinking, mental fatigue, confusion, and the unsettling sensation that your mind is operating behind a layer of frosted glass. The Cleveland Clinic describes it simply: your mind is in a state of buffering, like waiting for a video to load on an unstable connection. You're willing and able, but something is holding the signal back. Researchers trace the term itself all the way to 1817 to a German phrase, Verdunkelung des Bewusstseins, meaning clouding of consciousness. 200 years later, we finally understand why that clouding happens. And the reasons are more surprising than most people expect. Here's something most people get wrong about stress. They think stress is just a feeling, a temporary emotional state you push through and move past. In reality, chronic stress produces measurable physical changes in your brain and body. A 2017 review of research confirmed that chronic stress raises blood pressure, weakens the immune system, and can trigger depression. But here's what matters most for brain fog. Stress exhausts your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for thinking, reasoning, and focusing. Imagine running an engine at full throttle every hour of every day without ever switching it off. Eventually, the engine stops performing the way it should. When stress floods your system with cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, it doesn't sharpen your mind. In sustained doses, it clouds it. Decision-making slows. Memory becomes unreliable. Focus dissolves. The fog rolls in and it gets thicker the longer the stress continues. But stress alone isn't the full story. You already know sleep is important. Everyone does. But here's what most people don't know. Sleep quality and sleep quantity are two completely different things. You can spend 9 hours in bed and still be cognitively impaired the next day if the quality of that sleep is poor. A 2021 research review confirmed that poor sleep quality directly interferes with how well the brain functions, regardless of duration. Here's why. During deep sleep, specifically a phase called slow wave sleep, your brain is not resting. It is working. It consolidates the day's memories, clears out metabolic waste products, and repairs neural connections. Skip this process or disrupt it, and you wake up with a brain that hasn't been serviced. It's like trying to drive a car that was never given an oil change. The recommended target for adults is 7 to 9 hours. But the type of sleep matters just as much as the number of hours. And this is where the story gets unexpectedly complicated. Because the next cause of brain fog connects your sleep directly to something inside your gut, and the discovery is one of the most surprising in recent neuroscience. There is a highway between your gut and your brain. Scientists call it the gut-brain axis. It is a continuous two-way communication network involving nerves, hormones, immune signals, and billions of microorganisms that constantly sends information between your digestive system and your central nervous system. When that highway is working properly, everything flows. When it's disrupted, the consequences can reach all the way to your cognitive function. Here is a striking example. Research has confirmed that after a COVID-19 infection, the virus can continue living in the digestive tract long after respiratory symptoms disappear. There, it alters the gut's microbiome, the community of bacteria that helps regulate numerous body systems. This disruption reduces the body's production of serotonin, a chemical messenger critical to mood, focus, and cognitive function. The result is brain fog that can persist for months, but COVID is only one example. Studies show that over 50% of patients with common gastrointestinal disorders, including irritable bowel syndrome and gastroparesis, also experience brain fog. In people with celiac disease, strict adherence to a gluten-free diet has been shown to produce measurable improvements in cognitive function within 12 months. Your gut is not separate from your brain. It is part of the same system, and what you feed that system matters enormously. Think of your brain like a high-performance engine. You would not pour low-grade fuel into a precision machine and expect optimal performance. Yet most people give very little thought to the relationship between what they eat and how well they think. The connection is direct and scientifically documented. A deficiency in vitamin B12, a nutrient essential for healthy nerve function, has been linked in research to measurable declines in cognitive performance and the onset of brain fog. Food sensitivities to substances like artificial sweeteners, peanuts, or dairy can trigger inflammatory responses that cloud thinking in sensitive individuals. On a larger scale, diets high in ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, and saturated fats are consistently linked to neuroinflammation, inflammation occurring inside the brain itself. And neuroinflammation is now recognized as one of the core biological mechanisms behind brain fog. What does the evidence point toward instead? The Mediterranean diet stands out across multiple research domains. It reduces neuroinflammation. It supports the gut-brain axis. It improves sleep quality. No other dietary pattern shows benefits across all three of these mechanisms simultaneously. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids like salmon, mackerel, sardines, walnuts, and flaxseed help form and protect the membranes of brain cells. Polyphenols found in berries, green tea, olive oil, and dark chocolate modulate inflammatory pathways. Tryptophan-rich foods like eggs, dairy, nuts, and seeds support the production of serotonin and melatonin, both of which regulate mood and sleep. You eat 3 times a day. Every meal is either adding to the fog or helping to clear it. Brain fog does not discriminate. During pregnancy, rising levels of progesterone and estrogen alter memory and can cause short-term cognitive impairment. During menopause, a drop in estrogen produces forgetfulness, poor concentration, and cloudy thinking, documented consistently in research published as recently as 2019. Certain medications produce brain fog as a direct side effect. Common culprits include some sleep aids, older antihistamines like diphenhydramine, certain antidepressants, and medications for urinary symptoms. Chemotherapy produces a well-documented phenomenon known as chemo brain, a form of cognitive impairment that can persist long after treatment ends. If you notice mental cloudiness beginning after starting a new medication, that is not a coincidence. That is data worth discussing with your doctor. Sometimes brain fog is a messenger alerting you to something deeper. Chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, lupus, multiple sclerosis, anemia, diabetes, hypothyroidism, and depression are all associated with brain fog as a recurring symptom. Dehydration, something as simple as not drinking enough water, can also impair cognitive performance measurably. The common thread across many of these conditions is inflammation, disrupted blood glucose regulation, or immune system dysregulation. All three of these affect the brain's ability to process information efficiently. This is why brain fog cannot be diagnosed with a single test. A doctor will typically take a full history, conduct a physical examination, order blood work to check glucose levels, thyroid function, nutritional status, and inflammatory markers, and build a picture from there. Brain fog is frustrating, but it is not permanent, and it responds to intervention. Start with sleep. 7 to 9 hours is the target, but focus on quality. Consistent timing, a cool, dark room, and no screens in the final hour. Sleep is when your brain performs its essential maintenance work. Protect it. Move your body daily. Even a short, brisk walk increases blood flow and oxygen delivery to the brain, which measurably improves alertness and cognitive function. Eat to reduce inflammation. Prioritize vegetables, fruits, whole grains, oily fish, nuts, and olive oil. Limit ultra-processed foods, refined sugar. Manage stress actively, not passively. Breathing exercises, mindfulness, regular movement, and genuine rest are not luxuries. They are maintenance for your most important organ. Stay hydrated. Mild dehydration is enough to impair focus. Keep water nearby throughout the day. Finally, and this is often overlooked, structure your environment to reduce cognitive load. Use calendars, write things down, build predictable routines that take pressure off your working memory. Every decision your brain doesn't have to make is energy available for the things that matter. Brain fog is your brain asking for something it needs. The question is whether you are listening.